In the year 2000, a jet rolled off the production line in Savannah, Georgia, that would quietly revolutionize mid-size business aviation. It wasn't the biggest, it wasn't the fastest, but for over a decade, it was the smartest choice for corporations and wealthy individuals who understood value. This is the Gulfstream G300, and if you've never heard of it, you're not alone. It's the jet that lived in the shadow of its more famous siblings, the forgotten middle child of the Gulfstream family. But here's what most people don't know. This aircraft changed the game for every mid-size business jet that came after it. Today, we're diving deep into the story of the G300, why it was created, why it succeeded, and why it disappeared. This is the untold story of Gulfstream's secret weapon. To understand the G300, we need to go back to 1997. Gulfstream had a problem. Their flagship jets, the G4 and G5, were dominating the ultra-long-range market. CEOs and heads of state loved them, but they were expensive, really expensive, starting at $30 million and climbing fast. Meanwhile, smaller competitors like Cessna and Bombardier were eating up the mid-size market. Corporate flight departments wanted Gulfstream quality, but they didn't need 8,000 miles of range. They needed something practical, something that could fly New York to Los Angeles with 8 passengers and still have fuel to spare. Something affordable. Well, affordable by private jet standards. So Gulfstream made a bold move. In 1998, they acquired an Israeli aerospace company called IAI, Israel Aerospace Industries. And with it, they got the Galaxy, a mid-sized business jet that was good, but not great. It needed the Gulfstream touch. Enter Project Astra. Gulfstream took the Galaxy airframe and completely reimagined it. New engines, new avionics, redesigned cabin, better range, improved performance. They created 2 variants, the G200 for shorter missions and the G300, the sweet spot for transcontinental travel. In the year 2000, the Gulfstream G300 officially entered service, and it was about to prove everyone wrong. Let's talk about what made the G300 special, and trust me, the numbers tell a fascinating story. First, the engines. 2 Pratt & Whitney Canada PW306A turbofans, each producing 6,600 pounds of thrust. Now, these weren't the most powerful engines in the business jet world, but they were incredibly efficient. And efficiency meant range. Speaking of range, 3,400 nautical miles. That's New York to London with reserves, Los Angeles to Cabo San Lucas and back without refueling, Miami to Seattle non-stop. For a mid-sized jet in the year 2000, that was impressive, really impressive. Maximum cruise speed? Mach 0.85. That's roughly 540 miles per hour. Fast enough to save you hours on transcontinental flights, but not so fast that you're burning fuel like a fighter jet. The cabin? This is where Gulfstream's DNA really showed. 25 feet long, 7 feet wide, 6 feet 2 inches of headroom. Could comfortably seat 8 to 10 passengers depending on configuration. Some owners went with a 4-passenger ultra-luxury layout. Others maximized seating for corporate shuttles. But here's the kicker, the cabin altitude. At 41,000 feet cruising altitude, the G300 maintained a cabin pressure equivalent to just 6,000 feet. Your competitors? Most were at 8,000 feet or higher. That means less fatigue, less jet lag. Passengers arriving fresh and ready for business. The flight deck featured the Honeywell Primus 2000 avionics suite. For the year 2000, this was cutting edge. Fully integrated glass cockpit, dual flight management systems, enhanced ground proximity warning. It made flying safer and reduced pilot workload dramatically. And the price? Here's where the G300 became a legend. $12 to $15 million new. Compare that to a G4 at $30+ million, and suddenly you understand why corporate flight departments were lining up. But specifications on paper mean nothing if the aircraft doesn't perform in the real world. So how did the G300 actually hold up? Brilliantly. Corporate flight departments loved it because it hit the sweet spot. Need to fly your executive team from Chicago to Los Angeles? The G300 could do it in 4.5 hours with 8 people and their luggage. Need to position the jet from Miami to Teterboro? 3 hours, no problem. Charter operators discovered the G300 was a gold mine. Operating costs were significantly lower than larger Gulfstreams. Fuel burn? Approximately 350 gallons per hour. That's nearly half what a G4 burned. Maintenance intervals were reasonable. Parts availability was good, thanks to Gulfstream's global support network. One charter operator I spoke with said their G300 logged over 7,000 hours in just 5 years. That's almost 4 hours of flying every single day, and the aircraft never had a major mechanical issue. That's Gulfstream reliability. The G300 became particularly popular for specific missions. Medical evacuation companies loved it. The cabin was large enough for a full medical suite, and the range meant they could reach most of North America from a central base. Corporate shuttles between manufacturing facilities. Government agencies that needed reliable, efficient transportation without the price tag of a G4. But it wasn't perfect. The G300 had limitations. That 3,400 nautical mile range, it meant you couldn't cross the Atlantic with a full passenger load and reasonable reserves. You'd need a fuel stop in Iceland or Newfoundland. And while the cabin was spacious for a midsize, it wasn't a G5. If you wanted a full bedroom and shower, you needed to step up. Still, for the mission it was designed for, transcontinental North American travel with excellent economics, the G300 was arguably the best option on the market for almost a decade. Of course, the G300 didn't exist in a vacuum. The early 2000s were a golden age for business aviation, and competition was fierce. Bombardier had the Challenger 300. Similar size, similar mission. But here's the thing. The Challenger had a slightly larger cabin, but less range and higher operating costs. Corporate buyers had to choose, more space or better economics. Many chose the G300. Cessna brought out the Citation X, the fastest civilian aircraft in the world at Mach 0.92. On paper, incredibly impressive, but speed came at a cost. Fuel consumption was brutal, and the cabin was narrower. The Citation X became the choice for speed demons. The G300 was for the pragmatists. Dassault had the Falcon 2000. Beautiful aircraft, fantastic handling. 3 engines for added safety over water. But 3 engines also meant 3 times the maintenance, and the cabin altitude was higher, meaning more passenger fatigue. What made the G300 special wasn't that it was the best at any one thing. It was that it had no major weaknesses. It was like the Toyota Land Cruiser of business jets. Not the flashiest, not the fastest, not the cheapest, but reliable, capable, and smart. By 2005, Gulfstream had sold over 50 G300s. Not massive numbers compared to their larger siblings, but solid for the midsize category. Operators reported dispatch reliability rates above 98%. That's exceptional. But then something happened that would seal the G300's fate. In 2009, Gulfstream announced the G280. This was essentially a completely redesigned G200 with significantly upgraded capabilities. Longer range, better cabin, more modern avionics. And it effectively replaced both the G200 and G300 in Gulfstream's lineup. Production of the G300 ended in 2011, just 11 years after it began. But in that 11 years, it had proved a point. Midsize doesn't mean compromise. So here's where the story gets really interesting. Today, in 2025, the G300 has become one of the best-kept secrets in the pre-owned aircraft market. Because these jets were built so well and maintained so carefully, many are still flying strong with over 10,000 hours on the airframe. And here's the kicker. You can buy one for between $2 and $4 million. Yes, you heard that right. A Gulfstream business jet with transcontinental range for the price of a nice house in Los Angeles. Compare that to a new G280 which costs $24 million, and suddenly the G300 makes sense again. For corporations with smaller budgets, charter startups, or wealthy individuals who understand value over vanity, the G300 is experiencing a quiet renaissance. But there are caveats. These are 20 to 25-year-old aircraft now. While the airframes are solid, avionics are dated. Many operators are upgrading to modern ADS-B-compliant systems, new autopilots, and satellite communications. These upgrades can cost $500,000 to $1 million, but they bring the G300 up to modern standards. Maintenance is another consideration. Parts are still available through Gulfstream's support network, but some components are getting harder to find. A smart buyer budgets $200,000 to $300,000 annually for maintenance, inspections, and hangar costs. Insurance can be tricky. Some underwriters are hesitant on older aircraft, especially if the pilot doesn't have significant Gulf Stream time. But for experienced crews, it's manageable. The interesting trend we're seeing now, companies that specialize in fractional ownership are buying up G300s. Why? Because they can offer Gulfstream quality at Cessna citation prices. A customer can buy a 1/8 share in a G300 for $300,000 to $500,000 and get 50 hours of flying per year. For someone who doesn't need their own jet full-time but wants better than commercial first class, it's a brilliant solution. Some operators are even converting G300s into specialized platforms, air ambulances, survey aircraft for oil and gas companies, government surveillance platforms. The robust airframe and reliable systems make it perfect